It's Dew Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Dew Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Yesterday was Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day. And we got to talking about how we make the church look, how we're committed to God and how other people see us committed to God. You know, there was a situation that took place, and we may talk about that situation again today. So I'm going to try to hold off on saying exactly what that situation was. But the general public, when these individuals were given credit to God for what they felt God had done, there were some naysayers. Now, we can't stop people from feeling the way they feel about God. We can't stop people from not acknowledging God, because that's the way the general world lives. There's no real acknowledgement of who God is, what we need to give him on a regular basis, and how we need to serve him. And, you know, most people admit, even if they're not taught when they're younger or taken to church, they do believe that there's a God. You know, some people say it's spiritual, and, you know, some people say, you know, well, I do believe in God, but they don't acknowledge God for who he is, what he does, or what he means to this world. Now, last week, we spoke a couple of times about the enemy being the prince of this world. Now, that he's labeled that in the Word of God. That is not something that man says. That's not something that the body of Christ says. The Word of God has labeled him as the prince of this world. And you try to figure out, well, why would God allow him to have this level of power? And plain and simply, he allows it because we have been made with a freedom of choice. Yes. So God allows the enemy to do what he does to also show his power, who he is, and how he ultimately controls things. Because if he's, you know, Satan is the prince of this world, a lot of people believe that, you know, well, where is God? You know, why would God allow all of this to happen if he is this great big God that you all say he is? It doesn't limit God from being who he is, because Satan has been deemed the prince of this world, but it actually shows how great God is, that he even allows the enemy to have free reign. Yeah. It allows us to see that God is just really a God of just a free choice, where he wants his people to be able to come out of such a horrible, horrific, intensified draw, that's what we have pulled away from to choose him. Now, if the enemy only reigned this much, if the draw was only this big, then there really wouldn't be much against God. Think about it. Ah. I mean, it's because there are things in life that we just don't have a problem walking away from, because it's like, that's nothing. It's almost like when you get a job. If you're going for an interview, or if you're interviewing rather, and you have two job offers, and you have one that the salary is only, $50 a week, and then you go to the other interview, and the other interview provides you with $500 a week, what you gonna choose? Anybody? I don't care how bad the conditions were. People going for the $500 because $50 is a no-brainer. What can you do with $50 a week? Well, that's what it looks like. It looks like it's $4.99 a week versus $500 a week. Yeah, because people see the enemy bigger than God, or just as big as God. So now God knows that when you make a decision to choose him, you've really weighed out the options. Yeah. You've said, you know what? This world ain't got nothing for Stephanie. I know it's, they promise you glitz and glamour. They promise you, all of the prestige and money, but at the end of the day, it's all, as they say, smoke and mirrors. It can't last. And I'm going to go with God where I know it's going to last. I'm going with God where I know he is the Almighty, and he knows me better than I know him. That's the decision that's made. And God is definitely sitting back and looking at us and saying, he chose me, she chose me. Yeah, she really wants me. She's in that fight. She's struggling to make it happen. She's pushing through. Again, if the other side is only $50, then what's the big deal? What's the big deal? So that, when we think about it, there's this cosmic fight that's going on over our heads, all around us, all the time. For we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but powers and principalities, the rulers of this world. So there's always the draw that this world is going to have some things that we're going to want that are not going to be good for us. But we've got to make the decision to say, you know what, God, I need you, because you can provide a whole lot more than this enemy can. I don't care how much he's been labeled the prince of this world. I know I serve the King of Kings, and I serve the Lord of Lords, and I want you, because that's what's going to make the difference. So, yeah, without revealing, because like I said, the ladies on here today, they didn't have an opportunity to talk about yesterday's conversation because they weren't involved with yesterday's conversation. But maybe we'll have an opportunity to step into it today. So I didn't want to give away too much. But you can always go back and listen and view, because no matter what we were saying yesterday, we may get 3 different opinions today. Yeah, we got 2 millennials on with us today. We had no millennials on with us yesterday. We just had the oldest, the seasoned people. So, the way we look at things may be a little different. So we may get an opportunity to check it out. Okay? All righty. That's how we spent our Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day, plus a little bit of stuff to kind of get those juices flowing in your head. Well, today is Wow Wednesday. We have begun the month of September. School has started for some, and they're waiting to go tomorrow, God spares. So we've got a big week ahead of us. Yeah, we're in the middle of the week, but we still got a lot to look forward to, especially those of us who have the little kiddies who we've got to get together to get ready for tomorrow morning. So let's get this party started. Go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, everybody that it's due time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere because we will be right back.
This is why you need to know Biddy Mason. Her journey from slavery to philanthropy is nothing short of legendary. Born into slavery, Biddy Mason's life was a test of endurance and spirit. In 1848, she walked 1,700 miles behind a caravan, carrying her 3 daughters and her hopes for freedom. In California, she fought for her freedom and won, becoming one of the first African-American women to own property in LA. As a result, in 1856, Hayes ruled that Mason and her children were free forever. Mason became a doctor's assistant and ran a midwifing business. She accumulated a fortune worth about $7.5 million in today's dollars, making her one of the richest women in Los Angeles. Biddy founded the first AME church, fed the hungry, sheltered the poor, and even visited prisoners. Her legacy lives on, from an unmarked grave to a celebrated tombstone and a place on the National Register of Historic Places. Biddy Mason's journey is a testament to resilience.
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. And it is Wow Wednesday, y'all. Yes, by the grace of God, we have made it halfway through the week. We've made it into the month of September. We are on the way to the end of the year. Oh my goodness, I can't even keep up with this speed. Oh, can you? Well, giving God thanks for just waking us up this morning, and some made it and some didn't, but we did. And we are so grateful to God for having us on his mind. So you know what we like to do every morning before we get started. I need to say good morning to everybody out there. So make sure you check in, because in order for me to know that you're here, I got to see you say good morning to me. All righty? All righty. Well, we got our first check-in this morning. We got our boy Terrence. Good morning, Terrence. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We got our boy Serge in the house. Good morning, Serge. How are you? Well, Katie must have been making her breakfast this morning, her coffee this morning, because both Serge and Terrence got up in there before her. So, good morning, Katie. We got you anyway, girl. Thank you so much for joining us. We got a check-in from our Lady Tamika. Good morning, Lady Tamika. And we will be chatting with you in a hot second. Now, we've got a newcomer here, KML 511. Good morning. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. Glad you were with us today. We can't go any further if we don't say good morning to the ladies that help us hold it down or keep us moving every morning on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Good morning to Shantice. Hey, good morning. And we look forward to talking to you in a few minutes. And we got to say good morning to our girl, Anika. Hey, Anika. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we got to say good morning to Miss Grace. Hey, Miss Grace, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, Terrence, where Mama at? Please let her know we said good morning. Yes, miss her. Miss her. Please tell her we miss her. All right. So let her know she's on our hearts. All right. All righty. And yeah, we got that check in from Miss Grace. Good morning, Miss Grace. Yeah. Always glad to see that you're able to type your good morning in. All right. Well, y'all know what time it is. It is fresh on a Wednesday morning, and it's time for our socially conscious segment with our girlfriend Vivian. Let's say good morning to Viv. Good morning, Viv.
Good morning. Happy Wow Wednesday. How are you, Pastor Steph?
I am well this morning, Viv. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good, good. You know what I always like to ask? Let's say it together this morning. What you got for me today? Yes.
All right. Starting off our social segment with Brooklyn's West Indian Day Parade. You know it, Labor Day Parade. It wrapped up with more chaos than Carnival on Monday night. They're saying at least 6 people were shot, 1 slash within hours of the festivities ending. The violence unfolded in multiple spots along Eastern Parkway and Crown Heights. Victims range from a 14-year-old boy to a 53-year-old man, now in critical condition. This all happened despite this being the biggest NYPD security deployment in parade history, complete with metal detectors and barricades. So let's break this down. This should have been our wild story of the week, but let's break this down. They're saying to safeguard the 2025 West Indian American Day Parade, city officials unleash what NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisk called the largest security deployment of the year. This deployment surpassed even the massive stations typically seen on New Year's Eve in Times Square and on 4th of July fireworks over the East River. They say 2,500 foot post officers were assigned for Juvert and the parade event. So if you don't know, Juvert is the night before, and then parade is on Monday. 2,500 foot officers were assigned to both those events, representing a surge in manpower drawn from a freshly graduated class of nearly 1,000 new officers. They're saying beyond the foot patrols, the operation included thousands more officers covering the border parade footprint and surrounding areas. Advanced tech support was part of the strategy. They had helicopters, drones, and a fully activated joint operations center monitored the skies and the streets with cameras and coordinated response teams. To manage crowd entry, the NYPD installed 13 security checkpoints complete with handheld metal detectors, plus double barricades along the nearly 2-mile route. Yet and still, we have this report here today. They're saying police have 1 person of interest in custody for the most serious shooting, but the spree leaves the community asking, how does one of New York City's most vibrant cultural celebrations keep ending in bloodshed despite all these efforts that were put in to protect the parade goers? Next, we have immigration officials switching things up, and it's making a lot of families nervous. They're saying if a parent or a relative wants to reunite with a child who came to the U.S. alone, they now have to show up in person for an identity check. They used to be able to do this online. They're saying that is no longer the case. If you want to reunite with a child who came to the U.S. alone, you now must show up in person. They're saying ICE is right there in the room. This is a big change from before. You can no longer do your paperwork online. They're saying that they want you to come in, prove your identity, answer some questions in order to reunite with that child. Advocates say that this new rule is keeping people from coming forward, which means kids are stuck in shelters even longer. The government says it's all about making sure children are going to a safe home, but critics are calling it what it feels like, another hoop for families to jump through, and one that could scare them away completely. So now they're risking these kids never being reunited with their families because they want to make sure whomever is trying to reunite with these children come in, answer some questions. They're saying that, yes, these people can possibly face arrest. So it's getting very scary out there for these immigrants. And now we have our wow story of the week, which is really, really, really sad. They're saying a Bronx baby is on life support after police say her mother's teenage boyfriend beat her so badly. Doctors had to remove part of her skull just to save her life. 1 year old. They're saying 1 year old Imani Dior Monique Mitchell is clinging to life at Harlem Hospital after what prosecutors are calling a brutal assault at the hands of her mother's 19-year-old boyfriend, Jerome Thomas. Court documents say Thomas punched the toddler in the head multiple times, leaving her semi-unconscious with several swelling and bleedings in her brain. Doctors performed emergency surgery to remove part of her skull and relieve the pressure, but she remains on a ventilator and life support, with her condition described as critical. Police say Imani's mother, 25-year-old Lanesha Mitchell, had only been dating Thomas for about 4 months, and he is not the baby's father. Thomas has pleaded not guilty to first-degree assault and child endangerment and is being held without bail. The reports say that mom went out, returned about 45 minutes later to find her baby unconscious. And now she is on life support. This has been Vivian with Socially Conscious, giving you the news that we are following. And remember, if you have any wild stories you would like to submit, please feel free to direct message me on Facebook. My username there is Vivian BM, and come back every Wednesday to find out if your story has been chosen. Thank you, as always, to our loyal listeners, and thank you, Pastor Steph.
Thank you, Vivian. Thank you. Woo. Ended with a bang. All righty. We got some comments going on up in this room while we get the ladies on the screen. So let's say what's going on. Hey, Miss Charlene. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Well, happy belated birthday to you. I just found out that you just celebrated a birthday. So we're happy to be able to say happy birthday to you. Serge says it's a trap trying to get them out the country easier using the kids. Might be on to something, Serge. Terrence says, wow, they're going to get him in jail and he will get what he deserves. That said, the mother's dumb. Too, I know he must be hitting her too. Woo, we got some stuff to talk about. Oh, we got our girl Tamika in the house. Let's say good morning to Tamika. Hey, Tamika. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy
Okay. All right, let's say good morning to our girl, Shantice. Good morning, Shantice.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Oh,
I'm fine, thank you.
good. All right, Tamika. Vivian's short today, but she's loaded. Okay, so let's talk about this Labor Day, West Indian Day / American Day parade that takes place every Labor Day here in New York along Eastern Parkway. Well, we've got some additional activity going on at the parade. We've got some shooting, we've got some slashing, along with a loaded presence of authority, police, drones, metal detectors, barricades, dogs, cats, wolves, eagles, and the whole 9 yards.
Lions, tigers, and bears.
Absolutely. Oh my. What say you about all this additional activity, unfortunately illegal activity? From young to old are the victims. What's going through your head immediately when you hear all of this stuff here?
I have to be honest. I don't go to these events. In my lifetime, I've never gone, to be honest. Because every year you hear about somebody getting shot, some woman, some female being assaulted in one way or another, or somebody being run over or injured by a float. These are the three things that without fail every year you hear. And my thing is, they have more police presence, more drones, more things that they use to be preventive, but you can't predict where it's going to break out. So you put everything at Juve, and that didn't work. You put things on the beginning of the parade, you still have issues. If you put it at the end, you still have issues. Apparently, I know they didn't just put it in one area. They had to, spread it out all over the place, and you still have issues. So this is something that you can't predict. How to fix it, I'm not quite sure. And the fact that you got people clinging for life is just unfathomable. Ugh. And it's annual every year. That something's gonna break out.
Absolutely. Shantice.
Yes.
Oh, it's Juve and all this celebration, but it's not celebration alone. Got some other activity going on, some criminal behavior.
I had someone tell me that they went this year. They went Monday, and they were considering taking their daughters. And I was like, are you stupid? There's no way that would even be a consideration. And it was a consideration until they were out there, and he said he just so happened to look in the crowd and see some girls and see the expression on their face. And he was like, why do they look scared? And he said the next thing he knew, they were running. So, of course, as Black people, once one run, it's like you start going, right, and you'll figure out why when y'all all meet up at the hideout, right? And it's a good thing he started moving, because all he heard next was pop, 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 and grabbed his friend and was trying to hold her a little sturdy, because everyone is bum rushing towards them. So he's trying to hold her sturdy so that they don't fall over. He's like, it was just a mess. And I was like, and yet you claim you were considering taking your daughters. And I went for the first time last year, and thank God nothing, I went to support someone who was a vendor out there. And the first thing I thought when I walked over there was, Lord, thank you that you did not allow me to even want to come over here during my partying and drinking days, because all senses would have been because you're partying and drinking. So therefore, I'm pretty sure the main reason why he was able to see the look on the girls' faces was because he wasn't drinking. When you drinking, you see someone scared, you may still be on alert, but of course you're not as quick because you're drinking. And I'm really curious as to know how effective you thought these barricades and metal detectors were going to be outside, where there is nothing closed in. You're not talking about being in the schoolyard or on a football field or in a park where there's at least, something gated and they would have to climb over in order to really get in, because there's really maybe one or two ways, but it's still outdoors, but there's still some type of, barrier, like real security. This is straight outside. Like it's the whole Eastern Parkway. What are you talking about metal detectors? Y'all really invested in those? Really? I don't know. This is crazy.
Terrence says there's no way they can stop people with guns at all in the parade. Hold on. I'm so happy I haven't gone in 20 years. Yeah. We got a lot of pandemonium going on, Viv. Shanti said barricades ain't gonna do no good. What's your thought?
Looking at the statistics, I think this was one of the safer years. So I guess it did help. But like Shanti said, there's really no way that you could ensure that these barricades, these metal detectors are going to work. Because I've gone a couple of years and it was very easy to go from the sidelines to being in the parade. You just gotta find your moment.
Right.
And those police are so engulfed in the parade itself, not necessarily protecting, but they're also enjoying what they see, and they're out there dancing and all types of stuff. So you can very easily find yourself where you're not supposed to be with what you're not supposed to have. So as much as they put in to say that they have more security there than they have at the ball drop is absolutely insane. And yet and still, people were able to get through with guns and knives to be able to shoot and slash the participants, or the ongoers, the onlookers. So I don't really think that there's anything they're going to be able to do more than what they have already done that's going to keep this event from being deadly in any way. I would be very surprised if we ever heard a year goes by where there were no shootings, no slashings, nobody died, nobody seriously hurt. The only way you're going to keep yourself out of danger is not going.
Right.
It's just way too many people there for you to be safe.
And that's my first thought, y'all. Serge says, I hope they learned their lesson that these metal detectors don't really work well. All right, so here's my thought. I have a problem personally because they started doing this with the ball drop. So what they do is, for the distance of the actual, let's say, parade, what they'll do is, so if the parade is for like 5 or 6 blocks, they'll use the barricades on each side 5 or 6 blocks. And what they started doing at the ball drop is, years ago you would be able to just walk up to wherever the ball was going to drop and stand where you want to stand. What they started doing was they put the barricades on each side, and you had to walk in, let's say, from 45th Street down to 42nd Street. So and they have police along the perimeters of the barricade. So if that's what they did with this parade, and they put the metal detectors at the top where the people can only access, that I'm sorry. That's not going to do anything. Why? Because remember now, if the police are standing on the outside, if you're
Mhm.
standing there, somebody can just slip somebody something from the outside. You don't have to
Mhm.
go in the crowd in order to get a gun into the crowd. So my question is, well, where were the metal detectors? I don't see metal detectors. I would search. I don't see metal detectors, excuse me, being very effective when this is the
Mhm.
setup. Like Shanti said, you're not talking about a wall where the
Mhm.
only access is this door, this opening of the door. You've got this whole open area. So how would a gun not get in to the, into the crowd? Number two, I have a problem when the only way I can get in or out is one way. I don't know about y'all. Come from when I was growing up, you were taught look at all the exits when you go up in a place. Make sure you when you walk in, you already scope how you getting in, how you getting out. See, first of all, I ain't never been in no mood to be in no crowd like that. Number two, I didn't got too decrepit to be able to move fast enough. God forbid something jump off, they gonna stampede past Stephanie because I can't move that fast. So there goes my desire to be in any level of this long row of people, and we all got to go this way. Not only that, if anything breaks out, they breaking down these barricades. These things are not like they're just wood. That's it.
Mhm.
So I don't see. I think it's and I hate to say it, but this is one of the this is the longest running ethnic parade.
Mhm.
It hasn't been around as long as the Hispanic Day Parade or the Puerto Rican Day Parade, whatever they're calling that. This is the longest and this is the largest. So my thing is, if you can't contain, if it's getting so large that you cannot contain it, I got to tell y'all talking about President Trump in. Don't look for this to be going on too much longer, cause y'all done blew it. Y'all done blew it. They always waiting for us to mess up.
Mhm.
And now that even the Puerto Rican Day parades, because it was at the Puerto Rican Day parade where they were violating the women. They didn't initially have the violation of women at this Labor Day parade. It was at the
Mhm.
Puerto Rican Day parade where they were raping women and violating women and all of that kind of stuff. It didn't start here. So y'all gonna keep it up. They don't want us to have nothing no way. And when we look up, oh, it's gonna be that. They're shutting this down.
Mhm.
So, we can't control, all the people. For the majority of the people that are there, they go to have a good time. From what I understand, I have never had a desire to go. To me, the best seat is on TV. And, you know, from what I understand, it's a fantastic presentation. And, from what I've seen, excuse me, on TV, it's a wonderful, wonderful presentation. And it only takes a couple of people to mess it up for everybody. And
Mhm.
we've got this couple of people. Terrence says the parades are set up because the Jews want to shut it down. They never had metal detectors on Rockaway, where it starts at all. They only have metal detectors all up by the Grand Plaza. I can believe that. I can believe that. Serge says, with the parade, you have to be able to be ready to run because you never know when something's going to happen. Absolutely, Serge.
Hostile
Every
situation.
year, that's right. Every year, there's something going on. And that's just the way this world has become. Like
Mhm.
Tamika said, you had out, where was it? In one of the outside states, they had a parade and the guy drove the car up into the parade and they're just making a mess of everything. And we can't have anything. Do you see this remaining, staying around for a long length of time, Tamika?
No. There's, I mean, you kind of pretty much, it's sad, but we're almost at a point now where the next day you start looking for the news just to find out what happened. You don't have to be there. And, it's getting to the point where people don't want to go, for one. I mean, although you do have large crowds, there's so many different occurrences. And the police, if we've gotten to the point where we're putting more people, during the New Year's Eve ball drop, we're putting more than that. Then what? And they've tried. At this point, you're seeing that they tried. Then I don't see
Right. Right. Shantice, do you see this staying around much longer?
No, I see it dying out. Like they'll try to keep it going, but I see the powers that be, like you said, trying to shut it down, and they're gonna fight to try to keep it, but it's gonna die out because even the attendees or people who would want to attend are gonna have incidents like this to really, you know what I'm saying? It's like, well, you shouldn't be doing something, or something is hazardous, and you keep trying to fight for it, but then you keep playing in the back of your mind like, so I'm really fighting to possibly get shot at or get shot, or like that. I feel like that's going to start playing, and then may try to start doing something new. That I do see like this, then finally letting this go, and then next thing you know, they'll be trying to implement something different and new. It's like, where does this come from? That's how I see, but I don't really see this going on like this. And not only that, it's been a lot of talk about how the presentations itself isn't what it used to be. Like that's becoming corny.
Mm-hmm.
And not just now, but for the past few years, I've been told, like, when it comes to such flow, it's whack because they only do it like this now, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of losing that spark anyway.
Flair.
Yeah, it's losing that anyway. Then on top of that, not only am I not seeing my culture's floats like I used to, but now I could possibly get shot at the same time. Oh no.
Mm-hmm. Viv, do you see it staying around for much longer?
I do. I know that previous years, like I said, was a lot. Like this time they had shootings, people were shot at, no deaths. Previous years there were multiple deaths, mass shootings, and they still continue to do this. And looking at the number of attendees, they're talking about 2 million people last year. Like the numbers are only increasing, and now that people are coming here specifically around this time of year for this, I don't see it dying down anytime sooner. And how much money they make off of this, I don't see them really trying to get rid of this. They've been talking about shutting this down for years now, and I have not seen the number of attendees drop dramatically to where they'll be like, you know what, it's not really worth it anymore, let's just shut it down. So I don't think it'll be around forever, but I don't see it going away anytime soon. And if they try to, I see the people that really enjoy it finding a way to still keep it going, because that's how Juvert started. And like Shanti said, if it isn't this, it's going to be something else. They're not going to just let this go. The people that really enjoy being out there, they're not going to just let this go.
Well, that's just people. Like you said, they just pop up anywhere. They're going to make sure they're going to do what they need to do to keep the festivities going. Well, Tamika, Vivian says, I don't see this going anywhere anytime soon. It's, although there are people who are becoming disenchanted, it's growing. It's up to 2, they're counting 2 million people. So you've got drones, you've got additional security, you've got metal detectors, you've got, a whole slew of responders. You've got all of these things in place, Tamika. So if they keep it going, what else can they do to protect the people out there?
I was thinking about that as well, and even areas that are close to that. If you go anywhere near Rockaway, it's a madhouse. We were actually out on Rockaway going to a totally different direction. We had to divert in order to get to where we needed to be. I'm thinking maybe, those that are going to the parade. I thought of one thing, but then I also know us. We're gonna cause havoc. I was thinking maybe you would have to have somebody either sign in or provide identification as they enter. And that's not just a pedestrian, but people in the car. You need to, provide ID. That would work in a nice world, but I know how we are. As soon as you start asking for ID,
in a nice world.
in a nice world, as soon as you start asking us for ID, I could see us going all out, but it would minimize some of it because you got a person's name, you got a person's ID, you know who's coming, you know who's going. And again, in a nice world, that works. How to minimize it in our world, I am not certain of how to do that.
Okay. Shantice, I mean, they've added so much. You've got drones. How effective are drones in a 2 million person activity? We've got tons of responders. You've got thousands of police officers, but yet you still got this going on. If they don't stop it and they keep it going on, what can you do additionally so that people are safe?
Shut it down. It's almost like sex. Like the safest sex is not have sex at all. It's like, listen, I mean, wait. You're allowing all these people in. There's no way for you to contain this. People are gonna come in. You got the people who live right there. You got people who are traveling from other boroughs. Like it was said, you have people who fly in specifically for this. It's drones. Are there missiles attached? What are the drones supposed to do? Supposed to say, oh, I see that one has Patron in her cup. But over there, he got Henny in his. Oh, but look, I think there's a razor in his pocket. What are the drones supposed to do? Is it like a laser to now alert the police? Like, okay, I need you on this avenue because I see something there. And then there's a drone on the next block or across the street. Okay, I need you there because we see this. Unless it's doing something like that, because they do have a lot of police out there. But I really don't see this being too contained. It's like really hard to do this, and it just continues to grow. The attendees continues to grow. Like, my friend said, he told me he was thinking about taking his kids. So had he took his kids, that would have been at least 2 additional people. So if everyone who went this year thought I should at least bring someone, how many people you think God Spears next year is going to be there?
Excuse me.
And there's never going to be more cops than. No, you're fine. There's never going to be more cops than civilians, So that's I don't know.
Okay, we got a check-in from Daquan. Good morning, Daquan. Thank you so much for joining us. He says they've tried many different ways to control this. The barricade maze was tried last year. 2 million is a hard situation to control, and they've tried to do the one entryway for the parade. That's what I'm saying. You got one way in, but yet if pandemonium broke out, you got 100 ways out. And poor little police. Viv, listen, you're the one who said you don't see them going anywhere. You see how they have increased everything. They've added metal detectors outside. New thing. All of this stuff. Where do you go from here to protect the community?
There ain't nowhere else to go. Y'all did as much as you can. The amount of foot patrol officers, drones, helicopters, metal detectors, plain clothes, and uniformed officers. You just gonna have to take it as it is. If you want to risk your life for wine, go ahead. Like, at this point, you go at your own risk. What else can they do?
Woo! Oh, that's Terrence. Terrence says drones are effective to a point. They are there to direct the police to the area where they're needed. They're highly effective. It's just that a drone can't can't put handcuffs on people, and that's the downfall. So, like you
Right.
said, all of you have said, you've reached the limit. You've really reached the limit. My head went to where Shantice's head was. My thing is, you've got thousands of police officers, but you've got millions of people. Boy, that's like the inmates and the correction officers.
Right.
Yo, if these people decide to bust out and do whatever, you don't have enough police presence. You will never have enough presence, like you said, Shantice, to equate to the amount of people that's there. Now, that's only 2 million people that they're counting. You really don't know how many people are there.
Right.
And again, are you talking about within the barricades? Because you still ain't talking about the ones standing behind the barricades. You can't count them.
The people on top of the roofs.
That's right. Right, Viv, right.
Mhm.
They're everywhere. So now you've got all these people, and I agree with you, Viv, they are maxed out. There is nothing else you could do. When I heard that there were metal detectors, I was like, outside? Whoa, that's new. And again, even if you have from the top and walking your way in, like Daquan said, they've tried this one way in, it still does not stop a person from bending down on the ground, on the outside of the barricade to give something to somebody. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
When people want to make something happen, they're going to make something happen. I see, I'm gonna be honest, if this was yesterday, I would say they're not going anywhere. With the president that we have, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that we are at this everlasting ongoing parade, because they're putting a stop to a whole lot of stuff. And unfortunately, like I said earlier, we do it to ourselves. You have a wonderful ability to express your creativity, your ethnicity. There are thousands represented there. And unfortunately, you messed it up for yourself, for something that has grown to 2 million people. Now that's minus all the people that's sitting at home looking at them. I ain't going over there. Can you imagine that if everybody who was interested decided to go? Because just because you're not there doesn't mean you don't want to be there. Like you said, Shantice, there are people who are thinking about taking someone. And unfortunately, you do have someone there who did take their child, and now the child ends up being a victim. How long are we gonna live like this, where we are, damaging everything? We're damaging everything. We got our next topic. We've got the immigration officials. Woo, ooh, 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 ooh. So you've got these children here that are detached from their parents, who were here, who got here, some thrown across the border, remember they were pushing them through the barbed wire. You've got all these children who are here. There's some left here by parents who have been deported. You've got children detached from their families. And now, under the guise of reconnecting, reuniting, they're saying, oh, come on out. Come on out. we want you to be able to see the children. We want to see the children connect with their families. However, we're going to handle this a little differently now. When you show up, we're going to need credentials. We're going to need identification. We're going to ask you questions. And unfortunately, if we find a need, we will arrest. Before we get there, let me close out these comments. Sir says, I don't see it going anywhere. It's staying because people are paying for the event and to be in the event like floats. Terrence says the metal detectors do not serve its purpose. They are there for distraction. well, a deterrent, as a deterrent, so people can think we're onto them. That's what it's there for. And so now we have the immigration laws that are shifting if you want to see your detached children. And Sir says they're going to reunite them back where they came from. Serge, you're on to something. Shatish, you got first leg at this. Is this a ploy?
Yeah, why now all of a sudden it's family reunion time? So you just had this whole series of hostile situations where you done went to trying to get them at the school when they dropped the kids off. To now it's kumbaya time. Oh, now let's get the parents back with their children. For what? So while everyone's there smiling, now you can talk about gotcha. And everybody's in the back of a paddy wagon or a dollar van again. It's like, come on, like, what are we doing? When Vivian was first saying it, I'm like, why is it kumbaya moment now? What happened? What happened? You found that you could benefit from this somehow? Or is this your way of doing an even bigger sweep? I don't see this being like a good Samaritan gesture. Yeah, I think there's something behind this.
Viv, do you think that, they're interested in, reuniting the children with their family? Or is this a ploy?
It's definitely a ploy. It's definitely a ploy because in order, even if you're not a parent, if you're a relative of the child who wanted to collect the child, everybody's going down now. Of course, is a ploy. And then look who our current president is. We've done the stories of how they are rounding these people up by any means necessary. Of course, is a ploy. But if you want that child to now be back home with you or with another relative, this is what you're going to have to risk. You're going to have to risk it. Now it's going to be a whole lot of kids that's just going to be left to the system because people are not going to want to risk it.
Wow. All right, Tamika. The ladies say there's something up their sleeve. Do you agree?
I do. There's all kinds of ploys out there to try and get you gotcha, which is horrible. They even got now, I don't know if anybody else got it. I got a text message saying, healthcare for immigration. And I'm going, come on, really? And so it's
wow.
everywhere, and the fact that, these little lives are going to have to fend for self because nobody can, do it unless you've got an American here that can, get access to the child. Other than that, and even with that, with everything that's going on now, it's just too touchy, with this president and what's going on. Even with being an American, we've seen that. I was born here. I was raised here. Just happened to look a certain kind of way and you took me, and at this point now, because of the way that things are, it doesn't even matter how you look. If they want to get you, they can get you.
Wow. Terrence says we're going to hear nothing but Sean Paul deporting them.
No, that's a song.
What? Oh, okay. Okay. I'm like, this gotta mean something because I don't know what this means. This must be a millennial thing.
Not so.
Oh my goodness. And Sir says they need more Victors and Hectors to fix their house because they got the Caucasian guy, but he can't do the work like they can. You're on to something, Serge. Absolutely, it's a ploy. When Vivian was talking, I was like, okay, so now you've run through the car washes, you've been to all the places where they've worked, you've been to the schools, you've been to the churches, and now we're here. Your bleeding hearts say that these children need to be united when you've been ripping them from their parents and their family members all along. Nah, y'all need to stop. This ain't got nothing to do with the kids. this is another way to draw out, all the illegals. And you can't say that they can't say that they were not warned. You told them that they're gonna have to bust out the credentials. They're gonna have to answer some questions, and if need be, they're going to arrest. Well, I'm with Vivian. It's gonna be a whole lot of children now, because ain't nobody coming out for these kids, because their bigger concern is going to be, am I going to be deported? So now you have a bunch of children in the system, and this is where we are now, because they're not falling for that. These people ain't falling for that. They wouldn't even go to the store at one point. They weren't even taking their children to school at one point. They weren't going to work at one point because they were concerned that the authorities were out there looking for them. So they are surely not about to come out for these children. Mm-hmm. And, listen, in a sense, they were already detached from the children. And and I'll say it like this. They were pushing them to safety all along. Remember now, they were already in the mentality of, well, they'll be in good keepings. They'll be safe as long as they get into America. Mm-hmm. So, you know what? Some of them already went into this separating from their children. They didn't push these children through the barbed wire to say, I'll catch up with you later. They already, have already detached from their children, some of them. So it's already a loss. They're not coming out. Who's coming out? If you didn't push a kid through the barricade, who's coming out? You don't know who these kids belong to. So the last little bit of people who are detached to these children, a whole lot of them are not falling for this. They're just not falling for this. Y'all gonna have to think of another way. My thing is, you know what? Give it up. Give it up now. You've got over 100,000 people that you sent back, to their country or wherever, because half of them didn't even meet their country. You've got some who actually deported themselves. Remember, you could deport yourself. And now, listen, you're not going to get many more. You're not going to get many more. So you might as well just go ahead. You just spent the first 8 months sending people up out of this country. I'm sure there are a lot more, but they ain't coming willingly. They are not coming willingly. I don't know about y'all. I went to a hotel. We were at a hotel. I was at a hotel recently and couldn't speak no English. I was like, wow. So you here legally and can't speak no English. I was like, well, if you got on uniform and you're freely out and cleaning up the hotel and all of this kind of stuff, then you must have your paperwork. But you're here and you can't speak no English. I had to ask this one, and she had to go ask that one, who had to go ask that one. And I'm like, okay, are we gonna get this done sometime today? And so listen, they're here and they're going to, whoever's still here who don't have their paperwork, they already know how to stay underneath the radar. They already here. They not, the other ones you didn't caught, that's because they thought they was gonna hide. But I don't think that there's a whole lot more you're gonna be able to do. I think you just gonna have to, don't stop setting the traps. And just, if you're going to catch them, get creative and don't say you coming. Plain simple as that. Find a way to get up in there wherever you think they are. But to put stuff out here like this, not only that, but then what you going to do? Here's my question. Are you going to bring the kids to the agency and sit them there in the waiting room with them believing that they're going to have somebody come to meet them, and then you never allow the people to meet them because you snatch them up? Or are you going to let the kids meet them for the last time, and then you're going to take the kids, separate them from the people, and then deport the other one, deport the parents or the family? See, either way you do this, the children suffer. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Third says, I can't see that Trump's people will try to enslave these people to do work in America by promising them that if they do the work, they can stay. I don't need the search. He's already got his feeling out there. He already has expressed. He's already shown. He ain't lying. He's not lying to them. Yeah, that's why my truck is dirty.
He is
because
annoying.
they took away all the good workers. Tell you have to learn. You should have learned from Pedro how to wash that car. Now, did you let Pedro wash the car and you didn't take some notes? You should have been watching what they were doing. All right, this last story is an abomination, which is unfortunately not a rare story. Just some of the details differ. You have this Bronx baby on life support where mom's boyfriend, she's 25, he's 19. She supposedly left him for 45 minutes only to come back where he had punched the baby in her head and abused her to the degree that she had some head trauma where they had to remove part of her skull. She still remains on life support. Vivian, we have talked about this ad nauseum. These moms to stop leaving these children with these boyfriends. How are you starting this conversation today?
I hope she's behind bars right along with him because I ain't see anything about that. Because why? First of all, he's 19. What are you doing with a 19-year-old when you are 25 with a child? What could he possibly have to offer you? I hope she's locked up right along with him because that was so dumb. Why would I leave this young boy with my child even for 5 minutes? No, she needs to go down right along with him.
Okay, Tamika. Vivian says she needs to be in jail too.
How many times have we seen this? When I tell you I'm so tired of hearing our babies, I am a major advocate for children, and like we gotta stop. You know, this is the second one that I've heard of recently. You know, we had the one with the baby being thrown in the water. Wasn't that in the Bronx as well, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on in the Bronx? What they drinking in the water? What they putting in the food that these men, you know, these relationships, it's not that, listen, you know how many mothers have been able to take care of their babies by themselves? If you don't have it, then talk to somebody who's been through it. There are plenty of single mothers that are out there. You don't have to resort to this, you know, being in a relationship with somebody. And you know for a fact, I guarantee you that he didn't just hit that baby. There were signs that you had to see. There were warnings, red flags, all kinds of flags that you disregarded. And you left this baby in this man's care for 45 minutes. And 45 minutes he went on a hitting spree. You know, you come in and the baby's completely unconscious. How many more times do we have to hear about you? Oh, it's okay. I'm just going to leave her. I'm just going to step out. I'm just going to go to the corner store, you know, and this is the end result. We cannot allow this to keep going on. Take the baby with you. Get a blanket, wrap that baby around your chest and take that child with you because we can't afford more lives being taken out.
Ooh, Shantice.
So first, the way to get rid of your children was to leave them in the car. Now the way to get rid of your child is to leave them with a man. Because there's no way, just like I was saying about that car epidemic, there's no way you haven't been hearing about this and you haven't been hearing how this doesn't work. And yet you still wake up and you say, I know what I'll do. I'll ask him to watch her or him while I go to work or while I go buy this chicken or while I want to get this bogey or whatever you going to get. There is no way. Because if I was in a healthy relationship After hearing this series, I be looking at my man sideways right now, like, just in case. Just in case. And it would be no shade to him. But it would be understandable because you're hearing that there's just a series of women leaving their child or children with whomever they claim they're dating or they're with. And as they say in the street, the man starts tweaking. He just starts bugging out. No, there's no way he hasn't shown you anything. And as soon as you walk out the door, he just goes off on your child, whether she was 15 years old, 21. There's no way. I don't trust people with I've had to tell mothers, like, oh, that's the father. I remember you telling me that. What that's supposed to mean? You may be at ease, but maybe that's why God is allowing me to sit in this room right now, because I'm not at ease with what I'm hearing or with what I'm seeing. This is just disgusting. And with him doing this, it's like, what, were you high? Were you drunk? How were you looking at this baby and felt that she was a bobblehead, that you could just punch like this? So what were you ingesting that helped your mind to just go crazy, that you would look at something so small and helpless and just feel like, well, I could just sit here and do, like, what? Like, this is the next way to get rid of your child. I'm telling you, there's no way. If we're hearing these stories, so are they. We're not a part of no secret news society where we only get the exclusives and the everyone else in the world don't get it. Yeah, so I agree with Vivian. She needs to pay as well, because that was just super careless. You were careless to even have this young person around. You're young too. 25 is still young. And now you're seeing someone this young and you're entrusting them to watch your child? Absolutely not.
Well, Terrence said when Vivian was doing the initial read of the announcement, that he had to be abusing her too. He had to be hitting her too.
Yes.
He's not just going to hit the baby. Now we have additional comments, and Terrence says, Big Bubba needs to deal with him. Hope it's his cellmate as well. That's our brother Al. Big Bubba. Sir says, so she got together with a young, thinking she's young or thinking she's, how Stella got a groove back.
Just say YN, Pastor Stella. Just say YN.
Thomas said, TV, I told you she was dumb. I knew she knew something was not right with him. I know he was hitting her as well. People always tell me Bronx is its own country. We don't mess with them. They're different.
They are.
They are.
My thing is, why would you leave your child with a 4-month relationship? Oh, to tell you something, someone's personality. Wait, I'm sorry. I can't. Wait, hold on. I can't see it like that. So, 1, 2, you can tell someone's personality on the journey. My question is, what did you need to do for 45 minutes? That's my question. Whatever you could do for 45 minutes, you could have took her with you. Number 2, he had to be abusive, because 45 minutes ain't enough time for you to do that level of damage and for her to get on your nerves, and then you do that level of damage. This had to start happening instantaneously.
Yes,
or I'm going to tell you something else. What I believe. I believe she never left the house. It's not making sense to me. So let's go with this timeline. I live in the middle of the block. Now, I know I'm not the fastest moving individual, but by the time I get to the corner, it's already 5-10 minutes? Then where you going? You're going to the supermarket, you're going to laundry. By the time you get there, you walk around 1 or 2 hours. Before you can get home, the 45 minutes is already done. So my question is, if it's just 45-minute run, why you couldn't take her with you? Number 2, you had to have left him angry when you left the house. Because how in the world, from the time you left, 45 minutes, he did this level of damage to this baby in 45 minutes. I don't think she left the house. I don't think she left the house. I don't think she left the house. It's just too quick for that level of trauma to this child. Now, I'm in 100% agreement because Vivian, when you were reading off this stuff, I was like, I hope I'm going to hear at the end of this read that she was arrested. Because at this particular moment, this is where you need to be. You need to be in jail. First of all, if you're 25 dating a 19-year-old, you already got something wrong with you.
Right.
You already got there's something wrong. Because in what world are we dating 6 years underneath us? You ain't no cougar.
Right, at that age.
Yeah. You know, we were talking about yesterday about the woman who was 93 and her husband was 75.
Right.
So we're assuming that when they got a little older, that she, caught this man who was almost 20 years her senior. I mean, her junior, but not at 25. So are we going to hear later that this is someone who the family said that they didn't think the baby was safe with her? Are we going to hear that, there was some questionable stuff with her? Because this is something. This too much. It's just too much. My question is, what do you really do with these people? What do you really do with these people? Because jail just ain't enough. Hoping they get with Big Bubba. Jail just ain't enough where you hope, it's something that, they've learned or, no, or they suffer. It's just not enough. It's just not enough. And this here, it's not going to stop. If we have heard, like Tamika said, if we have heard these stories over and over again, like Shanti said, we ain't in no secret society. We hear these stories, so do they. You left this child alone. Let me tell you something. Go back to some of the stories that we've heard. We've heard more stories than not. We've heard that the mother and the father, the mother and the boyfriend, the mother and the stepfather, they are complicit, period. Meaning they've done this together. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why we just did the story, the other day, last week, earlier this week, it was last Tuesday, we did the story where the mother is now in jail because she knew that the stepfather was messing with the 11-year-old. These people are together doing this. This ain't something that the mom is oblivious of. So it's like, what do you do with these people? Because jail just ain't enough. You're really gonna have to just leave this to God, because we whatever we would do would be illegal. Period. Whatever we do would simply be illegal. We got to check in from our Pastor KL. Hey, Pastor KL. Thank you so much for joining us. Terrence says, and Shantice, you're correct, because all we hear is the guy is raping a girl. The guy is hitting the girl. The baby. And she really left. They probably had that planned out. Yes. Terrence, this ain't nothing she don't know about. I'm sorry. I'm not buying it. Pastor, what could have happened? He was beating her and she ran out the house and he took it out on the child. Could be very true. Could very, very true. Very true. Very true. They was playing R. Kelly when it all happened. What? Who said that? What does that even mean? Do y'all know what that means?
No.
Y'all right along in the age group with Terrence. Maybe y'all can decipher what he's talking about. Terrence, you have to put some explanation up in this comment section. Serge says, I'm telling you, she saw how Stella got. You know what? These two here,
both of them,
you're
right?
on a roll. Yeah,
right.
On a roll. I'm telling you, she saw how Stella got a groove back and was like, let me get a young boy to be her Winston Shakespeare, thinking it's the 90s.
I couldn't imagine being
Serge and Terrence.
I can imagine being 25 and I'm dating someone who has teen at the end of their age.
Right.
And you hitting me. What?
Exactly.
There's a whole lot of life evaluating. And these people don't think they need Jesus. I am 25 and you have teen at the end of your age. Already, my life needs some evaluating. And then I'm allowing you to hit me when you can't even buy liquor yet legally, bro. Like, come on, bro. Like, come on. Like, what we doing, ladies? Like, what we doing? I know the men get slower as they get older, but come on. We can't be doing that. Like, how you let somebody hit you or anything, even if it's not a physical hit or anything like that, and you're restricted in society. I have more privileges than you. Like, what? I have to buy your liquor? What? No.
Yeah.
No.
It's a lot to think about. A lot to think about. A lot to think about. Vivian, you're on your way out of here. What say you? How are you ending this thing here today?
What was our stories? Let's see. I mean, I'm really just stuck on this last story. We just got to do better. Women got to do better. I don't know. Maybe we need to just we can't even trust other women these days. I don't know. Just stop having kids. Just
for real.
The safest sex is no sex at all. Just keep them closed. You can't trust anybody these days. You can't trust family. You can't trust other women. You can't trust nobody. Listen, just keep your kids with you as much as you can. And just stop putting your kids' lives in other people's hands. You just can't trust people these days. Just watch your own kids. Do as much for them as you can. And when you can't, then sacrifice whatever it is. You ain't have to go to the store. It's just too much. It's too much.
Thank you, Vivian, for your contribution into today's conversation. And we pray you have a safe day, a blessed day.
Thank you. You too. Have a good day, ladies.
Have a good day.
Thank you. All right. Terrence is saying the R. Kelly comment was regarding the age difference. I don't know that R. Kelly song. I'm sorry.
It's not maybe not necessarily a song, but just the fact of him dealing with the girls.
With the kid.
Yeah,
but it was her and the young guy. Okay, all right. Don't do us men like that. He had a good game, and she wanted him. He showed her his food stamp card.
You get food stamps at 19.
You a surgeon in rare form today, Terrence. Oh my goodness.
You can get food stamps at 19?
You're an adult. You can apply. They can say yes.
The other Bronx
definitely get the benefit.
Wasn't that also somebody who was older who dated a teen as well?
Were you the girl with the boy, the guy throwing the baby in the river?
Correct. That was a teen as well. He wasn't? Okay.
No. He was 20. I think he was like 20 or 21. I think he was a year or so older than her.
He just crossed over.
Yes. He was either 20 or 21, I believe. Yeah, but they're all babies.
Not developed at 20,
Right.
21.
Right. Yes, I agree. They're still babies. I'm in 100% agreement with you. And that's the sad part about it. They're babies having babies and they're not ready. And we've talked about that before. This these set of kids that are having kids, it's like, yo, like you just really show that you're not ready to have children. Oh my goodness. All right. So, ladies, we got a little bit of time left. I want to get your thought on the story we talked about yesterday with Israel Horton and Adrienne Balin, and how, they were on this podcast, and she said that, well, they said how, they met, and for those of you who did not hear yesterday or who may not know, they met on the set of I'm in love with a church girl. He was a music director and she was starring in it, and they were quick friends, because they were seeing one another right after he had his divorce. He was divorced after being married and having an affair and producing 2 children outside of the marriage. So she was saying how, as they were talking, and he was, talking about how, he felt so bad about himself and his future, and, how he felt about himself, that she reached across the table, she held his hand, and she asked him, could she pray for him? And then, after saying yes, she prayed over him and asking God to help restore him, blah, 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 blah. Well, they ended up getting married. So in the same year, he got divorced. He ended up later that year getting married to Adrienne. So as they were on the podcast, the general public was, they were responding. And I should have pulled this up. I'm sorry, ladies. Give me a second. As they were responding, they were not feeling the two of them and their story. And what they said, when they were crediting God to the fact that they were together and the fact that she had helped him work through all of this so that they subsequently got married, the comments were, all right, give me a second. Okay. They said stuff like, he's gross, but I will never understand why people marry serial cheaters. Some other person wrote, may this kind of love never find me. Another one said, oh, she thinks it's different with her because God or whatever. It's one thing to cheat. It's another to have not 1, but 2 kids with your mistress. There was another comment that said, one day she'll find out she's not that special when he cheats on her too. Choices, girl. And one of the final comments, being a Christian sure gets you out of responsibility for your bad behavior. So they were not feeling her and his story at all. They were not impressed that God, quote unquote, was able to restore him so quickly from what he had done and now set him up to be married to her. What's your thought, Anika? Oh my goodness gracious, Tamika. Excuse me.
So I want to make sure that I'm understanding. So he was cheating in the same process, but she's not the mother of these 2 children. It's someone else, correct?
No. So he was married. He had his first marriage. Mm-hmm. And in that marriage, he fathered 2 children on the outside. He cheated on that wife and fathered the 2 children. They ended up going through a divorce that that ended. The divorce took place in the early part of 2016. They got married. 2016. They got married. Whatever year, the early part of the year he divorced, the two of them, him and Adrian, got married that same year. And people are saying, what are you doing? He just got out of a relationship. And now where he cheated on her and fathered these two kids, are you really thinking that it's going to be different when you jump right into that relationship with him and married him?
Right. Clearly understood. He hasn't given himself time to heal from the first relationship, and in between that first relationship, you sleeping with somebody else, fathered two children, and now you jump into something else. You haven't allowed yourself any type of, healing time. You just go from thing to thing to thing to thing, and, her being receptive, it's one thing to try to initially help somebody, but you don't just go right into marriage. That's not helping you, because what she doesn't realize is, first of all, he hasn't been healed, and how do we know that with what has already happened, he's not going to sleep with somebody else, just like he slept on with somebody else prior to you coming in. The same exact thing can happen to you. You thinking you helping him, and in actuality, you just opening up the door for it to happen to you.
Wow. Shantice, listen, he was a serial cheater, as one of the people said in the comments. He was, I don't understand how people get with these serial cheaters. And now, within the same year, you end up marrying him. And they're not believing this God thing.
I heard she was, I don't know if it was on her show, I don't remember where, but she was saying how she kept trying to hook him up with other women. Like they met on the set of the movie. They got real cool. She thought he was a great guy. And she kept trying to set him up on dates with like women she knew because she felt like he was such a good catch. But those dates didn't go anywhere. And after a while, someone was like, why don't you date him? Like, you keep saying how good of a guy he is. You keep trying to set him up. So now to hear that the same year he divorced is the same year you married him. Well, how quick was this? Y'all meeting and then you trying to hook him up with other women, but then you end up being the one with him, and it's not making sense. It's giving desperation to be married, because even if you weren't the one who cheated, let's say your wife left you and that's why y'all got a divorce, that's still too soon for me to be marrying you, because even if she was the one who did all the wrong, you still need time to heal. You still need to make sure I'm not the rebound person. You still need to make sure there's not a high level of resentment in your heart. And when you look at me, you don't see her and all this, all that extra stuff. Mm-hmm. Considering you're the one who was the slut bucket, there's a whole lot of healing that needs to take place. And then there's a whole lot I got to keep my eye open for. Like, I agree with someone who said not one, but you fathered two. How did that work? So you had a whole relationship with someone else. She wasn't, as they say in the streets, a slide. Like it was a oops, because you slept with her once, maybe twice, and then you fathered two children. You had a whole relationship, a whole thing going on outside your marriage. And I'm going to jump to marry you. And then not only that, and see, this is what I keep saying about this whole surrogate thing and all that. Then y'all fought to have this baby that y'all got now. You went and had a surrogate. So now you're introducing a child into this mess. It's like, it's just given she was so desperate to get married. That's what it's giving. You on the show, you went and got your body and your face done and all that. Now you need the husband to go along with it to complete the package. Now you need the baby to go along with it to complete the package. That's what this is giving. It's like, that timeline, I didn't know about the timeline. That timeline is ridiculous.
Yeah. They said the early part of the year he divorced, and the latter part of the year he remarried. Now, let's touch on this part about the the comments that these people are making regarding God, and how because we talked about this heavily yesterday, and I would love to pick your two brains about how, the connection between, they're attributing all of this to God. God brought us together. God healed him. God did it for me. God did it for us. These people ain't buying this. They're not connecting God. Why not, Tamika? Why aren't the outside people connecting God to this?
Because you playing Barbie and then you want to put a label, God has blessed us. God has, no, that's not how that works. There is, God knows us. And, yeah, can God do it overnight? Yeah. But that's not how that works. You decide that you want to play Sarah.
Nah.
You want to go over here and sleep with this one and then say, God, you look, and we're still, based on, to Shanti's credit, and you got a baby in addition. So we really playing Sarah. You got this marriage that you pushing together and a baby. Here's Ishmael. Now you got issues, because it's not just Ishmael. You got 2 other children that weren't supposed to transpire, but because of your loins and your needs and whatever it is, again, flesh and the spirit. There, you can't put both. You can't play Barbie and then put the title, oh, God has blessed. We are anointed. We're going to be, no, there's going to be issues. Every time that we decide to be fleshly, look at David looking at Bathsheba, that's something that, again, you supposed to be doing one thing. You got a task. If you don't stay on course, the course that God has given you, and then label it, trust and believe all your dirty laundry is going to be out. Not just today, but to the future. When everybody starts looking at what you in the flesh are doing, it's just a mess that you titled God.
All right. Shantice, the public is not buying God. Now, here's the thing. You can tell that these are not people who follow God just by the comments. I'm going to go back a second and read a couple of these comments. Where's my story? So you got, one day she'll find out she's not that special when he treats on her too. All right. Being a Christian sure gets you out of responsibility for bad behavior. That's one of the comments that we're reading, that you could tell this ain't got nothing. These people are not buying this God thing that they're throwing out there. She thinks it's different with her because God or whatever. It's one thing to cheat. It's another to have not 1 but 2 kids with your mistress. So these are not people who are Christian people. And how bad is that you're saying, well, God did this for us, but they're not believing that it's God. Even if it were God, they're not buying it. Why not?
Because God is a God of decency and order. And even when God has to move unconventional at times, there's still a high level of decency and order. There's still a high level of standards and morals that as fleshly people, we still don't want to abide by. And that's when you know it's still God, because God is still going to call you out of your comfort zone. He is not going to be okay with you following what you want to do, what's pleasing to your flesh. And everything about this says my flesh. So you got the whole bunch of different components. He's a known cheater who then had kids on his wife, already in the streets. People have been cut for less. All right. So you already got that. Then now they're hearing that you with him. Already you look and they're labeling you as stupid because you're with someone who cheated on his wife and he didn't have babies on her. Now, it could have been 90 years later. You married him. They still gonna label you stupid. On top of that, and that could have been God. He could have done all the healing, but the people of the world are still going to label you like that because people of the world are so unforgiving until he says to do something that they feel is good or benefits them. Now, you're talking about within the matter of months, he got divorced, the ink ain't dry yet, and now y'all together. The streets know, the world knows desperation when they see it. And now you're trying to throw God in to try to justify how quick you decided to move. That's why you got, oh God, whatever. That's why you get, oh, it's good that people who are of God don't have to, like, it can be, God is a cop-out, pretty much is what they're saying. Because that's how the traditional Christians move. God knows my heart. God will forgive me. At least it's in marriage now. At least it's in, and I keep trying to, God is really embedded in us what this marriage thing really is, what it's all about. You can't marry someone just for status. You can't marry someone just because you like them today. You can't marry someone just because you want to have legal sex. It's not going to work. The reasons have to be for the reasons God says, I have you and you together. So even if God did say, I have Adrian for Israel, if right now isn't the time for whatever reason, because he sees that their intentions are off, it's not the time. But like Lady Tamika said, but because you want to move on your time, now you got people looking at God crazy. And now you're throwing his name. It's like Pastor Steph, when you said, I keep telling people, stop telling people Pastor Steph said, because I didn't say that. And there's this meme that was going around a couple of years ago, where it was a picture of Jesus, and he was like, I ain't got nothing to do with that. And that's kind of like what I feel like needs to be, that picture needs to be smacked on this picture here. It needs to be Jesus standing like, I ain't got nothing to do with this. Because this is just like, nothing about this says true decency and order. And if God did sanction this, then y'all need to be very meticulous about how y'all move and how you speak about this journey. Because now you're gonna have to, and that's one of the things with these public relationships. Y'all have an obligation to the public to now lay this out. So if this was God who said he needed to be like this, y'all need to have plenty of lives and posts and all that, really thoroughly explaining, because now you're putting God on this. Now you're putting God's character and the way he moves and what his written and living word says about marriage. So that's why they think this is a joke. I'm a Christian and I think it's a joke. I don't think Jesus got anything to do with this.
All right, so here's how we're ending. I want to know I'm gonna pick your brain. God forbid it doesn't work, Tamika. Then what? In the public eye.
I'm already. They gonna have to do some major damage control. I'm looking at just the time frame that we're dealing with you having a relationship, having 2 children, getting into a new marriage, and a new baby. I'm looking at this new woman that you're engaging in relationship with. She now has a new baby that's coming into this world, 2 children, because realize that when you get married, you become responsible for all of that as well. Because I got to engage with these two children that I don't really know. You can't tell me that you know them within a year. You can't tell me that you know them within 2 years. You can't tell me that you know them within 5 years and a new marriage. So, I can't see God in this because you haven't given it time. You haven't, just like this woman that I'm going to put these 2 together. Just like this woman that knew this man for 4 months and then introduced the child and left the child. For life, this child will never be the same because you opened up the door to something that needed time. Allow God the time to do the necessary work. And now you're saying, what if it doesn't work? I don't see that it worked. And I can't say that God can't do it because God can do anything but fail. However, there has got to be a whole lot of work that needs to be done. And she as the vessel that becomes the receptor. The female that takes in all of that has got a lot of work to do. He's got a lot of work to do as the man that's engaging these two in a relationship in addition to these 3 children. There's got to be a whole lot of work. And if it does not work, then y'all have got a whole lot of damage control, years worth of damage control that you're going to have to fix. Whether it's in the public and your own individual lives.
And how are people going to read God if it doesn't work?
We do God a major disservice when we choose to do what we want to do. And those that are looking on realize that he has a following. Israel Houghton has a whole generation of people that are looking and going, even if you don't get it and you're using the God thing and you're looking at it, then at this point you have lost a whole lot of people who may never come back to the church. Because you got a whole lot of people that are not coming to church but are following that music because that's what they see as God. And so when this doesn't work, then you lose a whole crowd of people. And who is responsible? You, sir. You are responsible.
Good stuff. Shantice, finish fill in the blank. And if it doesn't work,
now God looks like he don't know what he's doing. God looks like he's a fool because you keep trying to put people together that's not supposed to be together. And again, people don't understand you have an obligation to the public when you decide to take your relationship public. Well, you're already public individually, so your relationship's gonna be public. But you now, especially again, this reminds me of the switch tip God gave: stop raising your hand for the responsibility. So the worst thing that could happen is this wasn't God, and you keep putting God's name on it, and you pushing this out there. Now you get to the point where you don't like her, she don't like you, and now you want out. And God is like, excuse me, you raised your hand for this responsibility. You wanted to be a power couple in my name. Now you got to stay in this marriage, because now I'm going to position you to have to show what I can do. Where I had nothing to do with this. I didn't put y'all together because I knew as of 2027, you would look at her and say, I don't like her anymore. And you would look at him and say, I don't like him anymore. But because you raised your hand for this public responsibility, now you got to stay in it so that my glory can be seen on how I can turn this around and really have the ability to say, I'm all up in this. So that's the worst thing that they could do, not just for the mass, but even for themselves. And you've just introduced another child into this. So now you over to the child as well. You fought for the child. And that's why I keep telling them, stop fighting for these kids. You fight to have these kids. Y'all do this IVF. Y'all go broke with this IVF. Y'all incorporate another woman with the surrogacy. If this China robot come over here, y'all be implementing the robot and all that. Just to have these kids, only for y'all to wake up one day, look at each other and say, I don't like you anymore. But yet you still owe it to this little life that you fought to bring into the situation. Reminds me of the I don't know emoji. Get it together. All right,
ladies. You've done it again. Thank you so much for your contribution into today's conversation, and we pray you have a blessed day. Good stuff.
Thank you too.
Thank you. Woo! Let's get this comment that Terrence has out the way. I don't know what's in the drugs they're smoking or whatever they put in their drinks, whatever pills they're doing. These younger kids are going crazy. And that has to do with our story from the socially conscious segment. The day where they celebrate Caribbean ethnicity here in New York with such grandeur, with the greatest intent. It's always been a real creative way to express how proud you are and how you represent your Caribbean heritage. It's always been great. And over the last few years, it's been out of control with crime and all kinds of violence and deaths and shootings and disruption. We've got the immigration officials now stepping up their game, where we believe it's a ruse, and they are supposedly trying to connect the children back to their families, whether it's parents, uncles, aunts, grandparents, whomever, from the fact that they have been detached either during this immigration period, or some, like we said, some of the people, they put their children across the border knowing that they wouldn't make it because their concern was to have a better life for their children or child. And finally, we have the story of the Bronx baby who's now on life support when mom left her child with this teen. She's 25, he's 19, and she claims she was gone for 45 minutes. And in 45 minutes, he punched his child in the head to the degree that they had to do emergency surgery and remove part of her skull. He's in jail, and our hope is that she is in jail as well. How do you tie all of this chaos in? Regardless of your intent, even in tying in this last story we talked about yesterday with the ladies today, regardless of your intent, I always say, we understand what your intent may be, but you can't dictate or determine how things will come out. Well, we're talking about all these things. In the middle story with the children, I said, okay, so what are you going to do? Are you going to bring the children to this agency, telling them, oh, you're going to be reunited with your family, but yet you're going to snag the family on the other side and arrest them before they could get to see the kids? Because you don't want the kids to see them, and they're never going to see these kids again, or the kids will never see them again. Or are you going to allow them to see the children to see these people, and then because you're going to arrest them and deport them, they're never going to see the children again? Regardless of your intent, you're destroying lives. All three of these, and including this couple story, you're destroying lives. Your bad judgment destroying lives. So regardless of your intent, it's destroying lives. The question on the table today, one of the questions was, do you think this will continue on very much longer with this parade? I hope not, because all I see is more deaths, more harm being done because people are out of control. Now, it's bad because, like I said, this has always been done with just such a large level of grandeur, and people have a really good time and so forth and so on. But you know what? I'm at this point in my life where if we see it coming, be proactive. They said, well, you know what? People are going to start up stuff on their own. Let them. Are we going to be able to stop the crime, even if there's 15 people at a party? We've had where crime and violence has been introduced because two people have a problem, where you had like a little house party, and because somebody wouldn't allow you to come in, you go and shoot up the place, or because you were there and you got kicked out, you go back and shoot up the place. So it doesn't mean that just because there's 2 million people, it's going to be the only time there's going to be chaos. And should we never have a party because there's going to be chaos? No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, at 2 million people plus, I hate to say don't do it, but where do we go from here, y'all? Where do we go from here? We say all the time, ladies, you hear, don't leave your child with these men, whether they're fathers, because we've had the father. I still don't know whether they caught the father who was hiding out in the woods, who suffocated who put the bags over 3 of the poor little girls and killed them because he was going through PTSD. And the mother was at home waiting for the children to be returned, and they never arrived because they died at the hands of their father. Their father. They died knowing that their father. How many other children die at the hands of their father? So women, stop. If if we can't control what the dads do, all these men, these boyfriends and stepdads that you're leaving these children with, who are killing and hurting these children, they are doing permanent damage to these children. The guy who pulled the spine out, who broke the child's spine rather. Yo, what are we doing? I started off today talking about that Satan, the word of God tells us that Satan is the prince of this world. Boy, if these 3 stories don't indicate that Satan is the prince of this world, I don't know what does. This stuff is real. And all I can say is grab Jesus. One of the ladies said today, and this is an indication that we need Jesus. It is. We throw caution to the wind when we don't take Jesus as our personal savior. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't mean life is going to be perfect when you do have Jesus as the head of your life. It doesn't, because we live in a fallen world. And as long as we live in a fallen world, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Shatice just told me that the man who they were looking for in the woods, they never found him. The one who killed the 3 daughters, they haven't found him yet. Oh boy. And such is life. How long is he going to be able to evade? Are they even looking for him anymore? And this is what happens. This stuff starts trickling off where we forget. The Bible says it's almost like looking in a mirror, and then as soon as you turn away, you forget what you look like. That's the way life is. That's the way we treat life. That we don't remember what we've read. We don't remember what we've seen. We don't remember what we've experienced. Or we figure, if I do it, it can't happen to me. It's not going to be me. Or if I do it, it's not going to have the same results as I had the last time because I've learned to be a better criminal. Or I've learned to do this better. And as long, pay attention. As long as Satan is the prince of this world, he is you are accessible to him when you don't have Jesus. Because as soon as you give your life to God and you, upon baptism, you are given the Spirit of the Lord, you have the ability to be guarded in a special way. We should not make the mistakes that the individuals who don't have Christ make. Spirits do exist, by the way, big time. But the protection that we who have been baptized and born again experience is the Spirit of the Lord, which it uses us as a house. And the Word of God says that the 2 spirits can't reside in the same place. Ooh, isn't that comforting? Because spirits cannot reside once the Spirit of the Lord is inside of me. Now, it doesn't mean that you cannot act wickedly. It can't mean that you can't be evil, because the Word of God also cautions us to don't quench the Spirit of the Lord. Yeah, you can override the Spirit of the Lord. If you tell the Spirit of the Lord, I just don't want you. I just want to go with flesh. You'd be surprised how strong flesh is. Because here's what God is not going to do. He is not going to operate as though you're a robot. And even when he allows that spirit to supersede who you are, it is operating as a robot. Now, there are times where he allows it to move just like that, enough for you to catch it and say, you know what, I'm going to put this flesh and spirit down and I'm going to follow the Spirit of the Lord, because that's what happens. The Spirit of the Lord is not me. Pay attention. The Spirit of the Lord is not me. There are two spirits that are operating at all times. Your flesh and spirit, and the Spirit of the Lord. So even when you have the Spirit of the Lord, you still have your own spirit that has the freedom to operate. God still does not treat you robotically. It's a gift. And it's a gift for you to use anytime you feel you need it, because it's always operating. So when you decide you want to use the Spirit of the Lord, then you use the Spirit of the Lord, and it can rescue you from doing a whole lot of stuff. But when you decide that your flesh and your spirit is going to supersede the Spirit of the Lord, then God allows you to move as you choose. Now, again, when I say that Satan is the prince of this world, you truly belong to him when you have rejected God. Now, let me break your heart right now. If you are within the sound of my voice, especially on more than one occasion, God has made a major presentation to you. If you have been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph, alone, let me tell you how much God loves you, that he has given you everything you need right here between Pastor Steph and the Due Time crew to give you exactly what you need in order for you to choose him. See, you don't need 900 sources in order for you to see, because God has promised that before he takes up this world and changes it, that you will have an opportunity, that everybody will have an opportunity to receive him. And if there's a draw to It's Due Time, if there's a draw to what Pastor Steph is saying, then God is speaking to you and you hear God. Catch it, accept it, take it, and use it. You don't want to be left open to the prince of this world. And that's what God is trying to save us from. Earlier, when I opened up, I said, hey, you want to be careful that, you understand that Satan is the prince of this world. And I was saying, why, people say, well, why would God let him operate? Well, it's not just that God is allowing him to operate, but God is also operating. So as Satan is the prince of this world, God is on his job. Trust me when I tell you. He's doing his job to reveal who he is to you and everyone else, because he doesn't want anyone to perish. So as he allows for Satan to operate as the prince of this world, he's got him, his spirit, his Jesus, and his angels operating. Boy, there's a whole lot more on this side. Did you just hear what I said? You have the Satan and his minions. But on the other side, you've got God, Jesus, and the Spirit of the Lord. That's the Godhead. Yo, in and of itself, that's definitely stronger than Satan and his minions. And then he got his angels. He's got his angels out here operating as well. Much greater than Satan and his minions. Which one are you going to choose? Understand that you are completely vulnerable when you have not accepted Jesus as your personal Savior. Do you want to remain vulnerable? Well, I'm going to tell you something. With just what Vivian brought to the table today, not counting what we talk about on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, but just the 3 stories Vivian brought today helps you to understand that Satan is the prince of this world, and that you have the ability to step from out of this. Because see, at any given moment, any of us could be this news, whether we are the victim or the perpetrator. Yeah, it's real. So you want to make sure that you come underneath that umbrella of safety. And you don't want to be under the umbrella of safety that where the rain falls on the just as well as the unjust. I don't want to be standing under Shantice's umbrella and I get the blessing and I get the safety. But when she steps away with her umbrella, all the rain falls on me. I need my own umbrella. Get that umbrella of God, Jesus, and the Spirit of the Lord. Stand underneath it and get the protection that you need. Don't continue to operate naked. You'll be glad you made the decision. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit as you go through your day. Be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew for always coming through big time. The ladies always come through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us and helping us do what we do. Please do not miss this opportunity to accept Christ as your personal Savior. Right now, please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to any of us. If you want that conversation, if that's on, the tip of your tongue, Lord, I want you. Shantice, put that number up in the chat room. Give me a call and let's talk. Let's talk. I'm a good listener. Let's talk. God has sent me for you, and I'm willing to be here for you. Don't forget about tomorrow evening, God's fans. Make sure you get to Unstoppable with Jennifer Lopez and The Fire Inside with Ryan Destiny. My 2 cents will be on tomorrow, God's spares, at 7:30 p.m. right here. And those are the 2 movies we will be reviewing. Until tomorrow, God's spares, where it's Therapeutic Thursday. Until then, I love